Well, thank you, David. Appreciate the warm welcome. I'm excited to be part of this overall panel. Broadly talking about reach, it's a major conversation that a lot of agencies and clients and vendors are having. But more specifically is how to drive maximum reach in today's marketplace. So really getting an agency perspective across a number of topics within that, specifically of how they're approaching the overall marketplace, what tools they're using, what's going on in today's marketplace, really from their own agency perspective. So I am joined by some great industry leaders, Mike and Mike, not to be confused with the famed Mike and Mike radio show from a few years ago on ESPN, but a much more compelling Mike and Mike of Mike O'Connor and Mike Fisher. So I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about your role at the agency.
Sure, I'll go first. Mike Fisher, I'm running advanced TV over at Essence. We're a Group M agency focused on using data to better drive outcomes for our clients. And television is a big push for us. As television is becoming more accountable, more addressable, more targetable, how do we start to take the best of what we've been doing in digital and apply it to TV while still maintaining the benefits of TV that everyone probably watching today already knows?
I'm Mike O'Connor, EVP of Video Investment at Horizon. So I lead video investment across Horizon and also Horizon Next, which is our performance marketing division.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining, and let's kick things off. So first, and I'm going to use you guys' surnames, so there's no confusion on the questions. So Mr. O'Connor, we'll start with you and Horizon. Really, what tools or platforms are you guys using to measure and maximize reach for your advertisers?
Yeah, from a planning front, we have proprietary tools that we use to look holistically across, linear and OTT. And I think they're largely Nielsen dependent. So they come with the holes that I think the industry is struggling with. But for us, reach is really a proxy for business results. So on the back end, we have a number of attribution tools that we use to measure things like sales, especially on the performance marketing side. So it's really a blend of looking at how reach impacts other factors on the back end.
Well, just a quick follow-up question. Are you guys using those tools then, or the ROI on the back end, to determine your ultimate budgets or budgets in the future?
I mean, we use the front end tools to determine how budgets should be allocated, but there's also the marriage of using those front end tools to look at kind of a zero-based plan. But we also have results and attribution data that we can use to inform those decisions. So it's really, I would say there's not one single answer, but it's a blend of a number of things.
Got it. Thanks. Turning to Group M and Mr. Fisher, trying to be proper here. We've talked a lot in recent months about how Group M is looking at reach. Can you really talk and describe how you guys are looking at reach from more of a holistic point of view in this marketplace?
Yeah, when we think about reach, we're thinking about it everywhere as something that is defined in an audience. So once a client defines their audience, and it could be a strategic media audience, it could be a goal-based audience, it could be an outcome-based audience. Our goal is to find that audience everywhere that they're watching first and foremost, so that instead of our clients having discrete budgets for linear reach, addressable reach, digital reach, OTT reach, we have in mind what we're looking to do from a campaign perspective, because we know what's worked in the past. And we want to find people who are going to engage with a brand and engage with content that's brand supported in a way that mirrors what has worked in the past and reach as many households uniquely as possible in a landscape that's becoming more and more fragmented. So it's starting with the audience, then looking at linear, then looking at how we can use addressable across both linear, set-top box, and even ACR powered adjustable, to start to fill in any missing holes against linear reach, and then also start to look at how we can augment that with streaming, because today's modern TV viewer isn't necessarily just watching streaming or just watching linear or just watching on demand. They're watching it across all, and we need our plans to be more inventory aware and supply type aware as well.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot to juggle today. It's not when I first started in the business, you're basically planning out broadcast prime and cable and other day parts within broadcast. Of course, it's definitely become a lot more complicated. I mean, so you guys are using the right tools and you guys have the right approach. Like, what do you, I guess, we've been talking a lot about this, and I know there've been a lot of panels and folks are talking this week and a couple weeks ago during the new fronts. Like, how are you guys, and love to hear more about, I guess, how you guys are looking at today's linear marketplace. And we'll start off with O'Connor.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mike in terms of we need to look at things holistically. And I think, realistically in today's marketplace, I think diversification of media spend is super important as we think about, one, that consumer, the consumption habits of our target. So looking across linear and OTT, I think that as we think about reach expansion beyond traditional linear TV into things like addressable linear TV is important, but also expanding into the OTT/CTV world because as we think about increasing reach, that's pivotal in the process.
Well, so,
Yeah,
Mr.
I'd agree.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, man.
No, I mean, he said everything that that we as an industry are thinking about, and it's consolidation, it's uniqueness, it's thinking about what's driving results and how people are consuming video, but not just necessarily how they're consuming or what they're consuming, but how they're consuming it as well, to find the best mix of the right type of video to maximize their ability to reach viewers.
Yeah, I think if you think about it, it's the right thing to do from the consumer perspective, and it also helps us in the marketplace. I think that's I'm sure we're going to get into that, but there are challenges in the marketplace right now, and I think by following the consumer, you help mitigate some of those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, one of the really interesting things that we've been thinking a little bit about is, for years as an advanced TV across the advanced TV ecosystem, we've been talking about the importance of premium content. Premium content still is television content to most people. And I caveat it with most people because this is something that we've done a lot of thinking about. There is a entire subset of the population that is going to very quickly become a key media buying demographic that premium is user generated content on YouTube. And how do we look at that as a way to augment reach? How do we start to look at things that we as the buyers and we as an industry more broadly have thought of is not being TV, is quickly becoming TV-like objects to the next generation that we're looking to reach. And we need to be able to factor those into our thinking as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I have a couple of those generational individuals in my own household, and personalization is truly key, and how you reach them. Right?
I mean, we're just starting to get clients comfortable with the idea of YouTube being premium, and in 3 years we're gearing up for a fight to kind of move the ecosystem forward on why TikTok user generated content may be premium for that generation. So premium is not just where it aired originally anymore. It's also now, what does your target audience that you're looking to reach think of as premium in their own life?
And to that end, I would say the same content can have a different target when you think about the different platform. I say this all the time. I've been binging Survivor with my kids for the last 6 months. And they weren't watching necessarily on CBS Broadcast Network, but we're watching it through Paramount Plus a ton. And the demographic differences alone on the two platforms, it's the same content, but it's being viewed on different platforms. I think that's key to understanding as well.
And from a viewer perspective, it's the same. That's the other thing that we're thinking more about is like, we need to move more to a world where once someone's butt's on the couch, they're watching TV, no matter, how they're accessing it.
Absolutely.
We're there from a viewing perspective. We need to be there from an ad model perspective.
Where do you guys see, I guess, the balance though between linear and CTV? I know it's about following the consumer, but we still use linear TV as a very broad reach vehicle. I mean, is that still the mindset, and where do you find the, I guess, the balance?
So yes and no. I wouldn't say necessarily say that we still look to linear TV as a broad reach vehicle. I think we're now looking to linear TV plus some sort of technology layer, either set-top box addressability, ACR powered creative versioning, or anything along those lines, as a must-have as part of a linear augmentation package. We don't want to be just buying Nielsen measured reach and frequency in linear anymore. We want to be taking account, who the audience is, how they're watching, what they're watching, and use data to inform that, just the same way that we're doing it in an impression based buy. But at the same time, we, for lack of a better word, coastal elitists in New York and San Francisco and LA have access to insanely fast broadband that people in middle America still don't. They don't have fast enough internet to stream. There's a subset of the population that doesn't stream for that reason. And linear TV is still super important to be able to reach those people, but also everybody who's not streaming. If you're looking at breakouts, there's still 4.5 hours a day, or 4 hours a day of 5.5 hours a day of TV content that's happening in linear.
Yeah, it depends on who you're trying to reach, right? I mean, in terms of, just in terms of demographics, where they're going to be. So I think you can look at consumption habits and break it down to figure out what that right balance should be.
Yeah.
I think it should also for certain clients, and especially a lot of the D2C clients we can start to break that down based on the business results that different platforms and different channels are driving. So that's the form where you want to go when you're looking at buckets, buckets of inventory, whether that's linear and cable broken down by tier, or it's addressable, or it's OTT. You can a lot of clients now, as we think about how the world is changing, we're able to look at what business results and what channels are driving those.
Yeah, it sounds like too geo plays a critical role as well. I mean, Mr. Fisher, you mentioned middle America, the coastals are probably more streaming. Coastal cities are probably more streaming, or larger cities are streaming, and folks are still watching linear TV. It sounds like geo is also a variable that is going to play a critical role in a client strategy moving forward as well.
Yep. No, I mean, I totally agree. I think, and that's one of the reasons why we're looking at, advanced technology planning tools to be able to better identify not just who we're targeting, but what we're targeting for and why we're targeting these people.
So what are you recommending to your clients? I go maybe even fast forward to 2022. I mean, we're already talking about 2022 in a broadcast year upfront sense anyway. Let's fast forward to 22 and 23. What are you recommending to your clients? I mean, you're following the consumer. What are some of the options you're recommending?
I mean, on our side, it's let's be planning and buying as close to the moment of the impression as we can. We're there today, obviously, in programmatic and digital video more broadly. But we don't want to 2 or 3 quarters out start to put together plans that commit budgets to networks to how we're going to do the buy. We want more fluidity and more flexibility in terms of how the buy gets executed. We still know who we're going to spend with, where we're going to spend it, and how we're going to. It's the how we're going to spend it we want more flexibility around, because we want to let the tools and the audience planning define how that buy happens. So like an example would be if a client says that they're looking to run a back to school campaign, driving clients online instead of in store, which hopefully, this year coming up back to school is going to be all in store, but looking to drive people online, for example, maybe we shouldn't be buying a heavy linear TV plan if that's their measurement. So we want to be able to make sure that we're factoring in not just who they're looking to reach, but how they're looking to reach them, where their audience is watching, and what we can do with that impression on a measurement and attribution side.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, you know, I think what we're preaching really is the diversification of our media spend. Really, you know, I think somebody on the last panel said something to the effect of it's the second year of the year of OTT. I think that, you know, I think we have seen over the past year, you know, a certain adoption of, you know, this acceptance of alternative channels, whether that's OTT. I think addressable. I think, you know, not to give a shameless plug to Dish, but things like your Reach Booster product that look at, you know, frequency out to a specific target. I think, you know, reach frequency are things that everyone's talking about in the marketplace, especially as you think about like frequency capping in OTT and things like that. I think it's really, you know, about diversification and not just going to the kind of the spots to deliver an overall plan and looking where your target is and how your target's reacting to those channels.
Awesome. So I know you gave me the shameless plug. Appreciate that.
And I'll support the plug on my end as well.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And I guess the last question I had, and led right into that of, you know, CTV is major conversation and following the eyeballs, as a lot of people are so eloquently putting. It isn't always just about CTV to maximize your reach. Love to hear from your perspective. I know you just gave me the Dish Media Reach Booster one, but what are some other tools out there, or other platforms, not tools, but other platforms out there that you see as a unique vehicle that can help close the gap on reaching your audience?
Yeah, not to endorse. I'm gonna give. We're in upfronts, so we're currently negotiating a lot that I don't want to call anyone out in particular.
Be careful on the premiums.
Beyond our friends at Dish, but data-driven optimizer tools that can really think across supply types. So tools that look more holistically at available supply in the ecosystem. How do you allocate across not just a network or a screen, but all networks and all screens? Because the same way that people aren't just watching, you know, linear TV or streaming or on demand, people aren't just sitting down and watching Disney. They're watching everything, and being able to have a plan that's aware of how that audience is watching everywhere early in the process is vital for us.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'd wholeheartedly agree. Again, it's not necessarily to plug what a network is doing, but it's about finding the most effective way to reach an audience. And I think, you know, when you think about data optimization, whether it's across a network group or using, you know, addressable technology, I think that's key in expanding reach.
Yeah, I mean, how do you see, and this will be my last question, I know we're closing on time, but how do you see or compare the different players out there as far as like, you know, who has the best data set to make those things activate? Not necessarily vendors per se, but those that possess kind of the best sets of data. Would love to hear your perspective on that.
Which vendors out there have the best
vendors? No, not vendors, but more along the lines of like who has an advantageous position from a marketplace standpoint, who owns, you know, folks that own the data specifically.
Well, you know, I think clients have an advantageous position in terms of their data, which I think is one of the most exciting. You know, as I think about, you know, Horizon Next and kind of our performance division, it's really cool to see what the information brands have and how we can leverage that in the marketplace. I think to the flip side, you know, obviously consolidation is on everyone's mind right now. I think one of the benefits to consolidation is being able to, you know, use some of the tools that Mike was talking about and leverage it across larger portfolios, which I think can be a good thing. So, you know, being able to tap into an audience again across a diverse set of content or platforms.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I think the people who are in a good spot right now are the data onboarders, being able to pull in proprietary first-party data in a clean, privacy-safe way and make it actionable to the tools that we're using. Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I see David joined. I guess that is the buzzer.
I'm the gong. I'm the guy with the crook, right, pulling you off stage. No, this was great. I always hate cutting these short. Again, super insightful. We appreciate your time and sharing with us. So thank you, Mike and Andrew. And again, we'll have you back again soon for round 2. So we appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. So like I said, we're going to keep this show rolling. We have some amazing speakers coming up next. We have Jonathan Stewart, the Executive Vice President of TV Strategy